When you take it from Howard Lutnick, he is also saying that the talks went really well so far. And keep in mind, they are in their second day, and they have been going all day today. They began at 10:40 a.m. local time. It's now 8 p.m. The two sides broke first for lunch, and then around 5:30 p.m. local in London for dinner, and they are heading back to the table right now. We saw the Commerce Secretary right before he went back into the room with his Chinese counterparts, indicating that talks had gone well, but offering very few specifics about what exactly made him draw that conclusion and what sorts of concessions and agreements might be on the table from either side. Remember, and this is interesting, that you are in San Diego with a lot of tech industry figures this week. Tech is really at center stage in the conversation there. China is very uptight and concerned about increasing export controls by the U.S. And conversely, negotiators from Washington have expressed chagrin over restrictions on exports of rare earth minerals to U.S. customers, especially the auto industry, but also tech as well.
So, Mike, when we think about how this could end up, and look, you know, the devil's in the details. You mentioned a lot of the issues that are being haggled over as we speak. What's the ultimate end game look like here for these two countries? Is it a détente? Is it a trade deal? Is it more talks that are agreed to later? I'm just trying to get an understanding for investors about setting expectations here.
Well, Tim, you're asking the right question, and it certainly is the one on the mind of everybody on Wall Street and on Main Street, too, because for businesses, there is a lot riding on what comes out of these conversations. Now, let's turn the clock back a month. This is when the two sides first met in Geneva to try to cool some of the passions that had been kindled by the Trump tariffs back in April that just escalated in this tit-for-tat battle and went as high as 145% on Chinese goods and something almost comparable on U.S. goods going into China. The two sides have set those high tariffs aside pending further talks, but after the discussions in Geneva, there was a bit of a breakdown. The U.S. accused China of slow-walking its promises to deliver those rare earths more quickly, and China was upset about a new round of export controls and restrictions that have been imposed following the meetings in Geneva, with both sides trading accusations of violating the spirit of that détente. So really, Tim, the starting point is to try to get back to square one from Geneva. Deal with a small d, and that really is more getting back to cooling tensions between the two sides so that they can work maybe eventually toward a deal with a capital D, something that would probably take far longer to carry out.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to get into, Mike. I mean, I think we've had conversations with you and other members of our DC team and other folks. I mean, any kind of real lasting deal, trade deal between the United States and China, it's going to take years. Is that fair to say that that's still kind of what we're looking at here?
It would take a significant investment of time, Carol, and you hit the nail on the head there with the amount of investment from each side that it would be required to gain an understanding. The differences between the world's two largest economies on matters of trade and on global security are really stark. And it's a striking contrast with other U.S. trading partners like Japan and India and even the European Union that are, much further along in their trade discussions. For all the time that the U.S. has been spending with China over the past few days, we really still have a lot of ground to make up with officials in Beijing. And the difference is when you start to really unpack it, they go far beyond just the questions of tariffs and even export controls and rare earths. It also touches on sensitive areas like the South China Sea and even Taiwan, where those differences between the two, the world's two leading economies are really, really distinct and will take years to resolve and will likely get pulled into the conversation as well.
Mike, I'm wondering, we spent a lot of the last couple of days, and indeed Friday as well, talking about rare earths as a bargaining chip. We talked about it with RJ Scaringe, the CEO of Rivian, last week at Bloomberg Technology. We talked about it with Gracelyn Baskerin at CSIS yesterday. She joined us from Johannesburg. What is the U.S.'s rare earths? Like, in the sense of, what is the powerful bargaining chip that we have that could counter the powerful bargaining chip of rare earths that China has?
Well, the bargaining chip, Tim, and this is a great question, it really is on the advanced tech side, it's on the semiconductor side, and it's on allowing China a little bit more access to some of the technology that it needs to be able to develop its domestic high-tech industry, especially in areas like artificial intelligence. And yet, this is a bridge that even officials in the Trump administration are reluctant to cross. They do not want to let Beijing gain any further ground in this area of AI, which is such a focus of competition between companies in the U.S. and their rivals in China and the national governments too, because it is seen as a national security issue by both sides. Because AI, of course, has the civilian applications. We talk a lot about, some of the agent-driven models that could help us live our lives better, or so we're told. But there is also a significant component that concerns national security, the ability to develop advanced nuclear weapons and bioweapons and other weapons of mass destruction that AI could be used for, and that is of great concern. Of course, the cybersecurity question as well. So how far the U.S. will go in allowing China more access to some of that technology? They've already indicated that allowing China to resume purchases, for example, of NVIDIA's H20 chip, a semiconductor designed for the Chinese market to comply with earlier U.S. export curbs, that's off the table. The H20 has been banned from sales to China, and NVIDIA has decided to scrap that lot, taking a $4.5 billion loss there. So we do see something of a line emerging. Now the question is, will there be enough of a concession to allow rare earth sales to resume here?
Mike, one last quick question, just 30 seconds here. Is it safe to say that when it comes to the United States and China, we are getting ready for a very big, different chapter when it comes to the relationship of these two? They're not necessarily as friendly foes as maybe they were. They're really, really sharp competitors. Just quickly.
Yes, the competition is stark, and it is very much part of the domestic agenda of President Xi Jinping, just as much as it is for President Donald Trump, to assert national superiority globally in technology and certainly economically as well.